Hey everybody. I was going to do a video on this on Friday when it was announced, but I didn't get a chance to do it, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people have read about this already, if not talked about it already. Um, but in case some of you don't know, the SOPA Act was delayed until at least this Wednesday, if not into 2012, early portion maybe of 2012. Um, Sorry about that. The reason it was delayed, apparently, there's numerous things that was said. Apparently, there was more opponents that were voicing their opinion about what was going on, and basically that opposed the bill, that were lobbying for the Lamar Smith guy, the guy that comes up with the bill, to kind of hold off right now until they can at least get some technical experts in there to kind of explain how the bill would affect the internet, possibly negatively, and how, if wrote up correctly, could affect it positively. Now, another thing that I read as well is because the reason this was kind of held off a little bit, another reason I read was they had also passed a bill, a funding bill, that would help the government have a little bit more money or something like that. I'm not totally 100% accurate about that information, but that's what I understand. That's what I hear and understand. Something along those lines was also the reason this was held off. Not just due to the fact, like I said, that it would allow the people opposing the bill to bring in some technical experts to kind of give them an idea of exactly how this would affect the internet negatively if it's passed in its current form, and how it could affect it positively if rewrote in a way that works out for everybody. Then we won't really know what the results will be. Now, apparently, this also gives them enough time to bring up more amendments. Apparently, there were 20 amendments that they had come up with, besides the manager's one, and it seemed that all 20, well, I think with the exception of the manager's one, I'm not sure, but all 20 with the exception of the manager's one, again, I'm not totally 100% sure, were shot down. Basically, every time I guess they were trying to talk about an amendment, they just shot it down just right before they can even finish talking about it or something. I'm not really sure. Now, another thing as well is, again, speaking of amendments, it allows them to create 30 more amendments. It allows them to create more ideas to try to revise this bill so it doesn't affect the internet as badly as a lot of people are looking at. Now, again, I mentioned this earlier in the other audio video that I did here on the YT, where I mentioned I basically said I basically kind of questioned the fact that SOPA will not affect Google, Facebook, Twitter, or Yahoo, or any other website or corporation associated or owned by those corporations. I also forgot to say that it also mentions, and again, you can read this on, I'm pretty sure a lot of you read this already, it mentions lawful and law-abiding sites and companies within the U.S. that will not be affected. So in other words, everybody that's concerned about YouTube being affected, it won't be. Because according to, like I said, this Lamar Smith guy, everybody's blowing it out of proportions. However, like I said before, it's kind of hard to believe anything that comes out of Washington. Some people will say certain things just to shut people up so they don't really, figure out what's going on. But apparently, whether we take it with a grain of salt or we're skeptical about it or not, the fact of the matter is, the fact of the matter is, they're saying that every site that follows the law, that obeys the law, is not going to be affected. So YouTube will not be affected. Basically, people that have their kids singing to, let's say, a Katy Perry song will not be affected. It's basically the main target is foreign rogue websites like Pirates Bay and Mega Upload and stuff like that. Now, I do understand that the one main concern for a lot of people, including those that work at these sites, are those that work at the sites like Cinemassacre.com, thatfellowinthecoat.com, and most importantly, that guy with the glasses.com. And the reason it concerns them is because a lot of the reviews you see there, whether it's Doug Walker's reviews as Nostalgia Critic, Lindsay Ellis as Nostalgia Chick, Joe as Angry Joe, Lynn Carr, Film Brain, Spoonie, every one of them there that does a review, does a movie review or even a video game review, which features content or footage from a certain movie or video game, they're basically fearing for the fact that they could end up losing their jobs. Now, I don't think they'll entirely be losing their jobs, I'll be honest with you. I don't think they'll be affected that much because I believe they fall under the Fair Use Copyright Act, the Fair Use part of the amendments, but they also fall under the lawful, law-abiding portion of websites and companies that won't be affected. You see, one of the things they're afraid of is the fact that, with Angry Joe, he does a parody, if you will, of G.I. Joe and Cobra Commander, except his Cobra Commander is known as Corporate Commander. And he recently posted a video up with the Corporate Commander's face basically blocked out by a censor, basically having a censor block in front of it. All due to the fact that the Corporate Commander sounds like Cobra Commander, and that'd be infringing on copyright. Basically, you're not, saying, in other words, they're saying you're not asking for permission to, parodize this character. Now, I'm not saying, folks, that that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying I firmly believe that they won't be affected, as well as I don't believe a site like Cinemassacre won't be affected. You think James Wolfe right now, who's working on the Angry Video Game Nerd movie, or trying to, the last thing he wants to find out is, oh, by the way, all your videos on Screw Attack and game trailers and Blimp.tv and YouTube all being taken down because you're infringing on copyrights. You didn't get Nintendo's permission. You didn't get Sega's permission. You didn't get this person's permission or that person's permission to use it, so they're taken down. You think he wants that? Do you think he wants that? No, he doesn't. And do you think he's concerned about it? Maybe he is, but he's not that concerned to the point that he's telling people, hey, sign this petition right now or we're going to lose everything. I haven't seen anything like that on Cinemassacre. So that tells me he knows that his site falls under the lawful, law-abiding citizens part that won't be affected. Now, thatfellowinthecoat.com, same thing. I haven't seen anything on their stuff, so I'm pretty sure they know they won't be affected. But again, it's understandable. It's understandable for people, even like myself, and I will admit it, myself, to be skeptical and to take what we read out of this thing with a grain of salt. Because how is it, in the eyes of many, not going to affect not going to affect the likes of a Google, Facebook, and Twitter and all that? How's it not going to do that? How's it not going to affect Google when somewhere down there it already says that Google supports the piracy and all that? How does it not affect it? You see, this is what people are worried about, and hopefully, according to some reports, they can not just get this pushed further, not just by the 21st, not just from the 21st, in which it's rescheduled to be looked at and possibly voted on, but push it further into 2012 to the point of the legislation, to the point to where when and where the legislation will finally change, and people, different members coming in, being voted in and everything, that things will be okay. But we don't know that yet. We don't know that yet. So you see, that's totally up to what occurs in the next few days, in the next 3 days, that all 3.5 days, it all depends on what occurs, because we don't really know what's going to happen. We don't know if it is going to be voted on at the committee. We don't know if it's going to be held back a little bit more. We don't know. But they did say that despite whether or not it gets voted in, it's still got to go through Congress. In Congress, they've even said it. You could read all these articles on Google and all that. They have even said that Congress has got so much going on right now that it's going to take time for them to even look at this bill and then pass it on through the president to the president's desk to be signed. So, despite what happens, there's still optimism and a positive attitude at the fact that despite how far this thing may go, that it won't get as far as being signed into law. That's what they're hoping for. So, but apparently I just thought I'd let you guys know about this. I'm pretty sure you all know about it already. So, if you want to, comment down below, tell me what you think, and let's just pray that the internet will not be as affected as we're all worried about. So, peace out.